are uh, live. Of course, I didn't have any special music playing because I really don't have anything to add to the situation other than it's just, what it is, what it is. Also, I see White Engine is saying invite, but he can already come in. Just click on voice chat. So we'll see if he can get into the channel on our Discord. So that's the other thing. Let me see if for some of you that are not familiar with what we do, let me just get a new leak generated. And then, boom. Man, this does sound kind of crazy without the whole atmosphere of without the atmosphere of the debate or energy like I normally do for the Ask RC Apologist shows. That as well as not have much of a graphic in the way. Other than that, I just have this cheesy old thing after show time with this little fat chubby version of me. So we got 3 people watching and tuning in at the moment, and who knows, we're expecting more. So yeah, this for those of you that are tuning in and aren't aware, there was a discussion that happened on the Geek Room on the issue and the topic of Jesus mythicism. Did Jesus exist? So we are trying to just have a chillax conversation, or maybe go over some stuff that was brought up during that. So again, if you want to participate, just come on in. Oh, we had one person, Chris Hansen. Okay, I know who that is. Send a friend request, or why do I need to do that? I can already just message him since he's part of the server. And wait, why do I need to message him? I'm starting to forget how to do my job. Okay, so let's see, Chris Hansen. Let's see here. Where's the roles? Okay, there we are. Livestream warrior. Alright. So there we go. And we'll see if our boy will join us. DSP. Okay, who is this? Who I apparently can't see their channel. What's up, Chris?
Hey.
Hey. How are you doing, man?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Chris? Are you there?
Not much. Just a sec. I gotta figure some stuff out here real quick.
Alright, no, sure thing, man. Alright, so while Chris is working on that, we're going to check to see, because, so again, we're now in the middle of solving the mystery of who exactly is this person here. Because it definitely ain't the Pokemon trainer or nurse or whatever. So let's see here. Because for some reason I can't check out their channel, at least not from my thing. Hello, religious fanboy.
Hi, how are you?
Doing good. We're just getting on with this as we just had the discussion on Jesus mythicism. Did Jesus exist with a godless engineer and Dave S. or other people have DM Spence, however you decide to go by with the name on there. And let's see if Chris is able to hear us and if he's got his stuff figured out.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Loud and clear, I can hear you.
Okay, sweet. Everything's good.
Alright, good.
I can finally hear you guys now.
Well, congratulations. You can hear us and we can hear you.
It's like a regular old party now.
Oh, yeah. That's how it's supposed to be. Don't know if the engine boy's gonna show up. I hope so.
So I heard... once again, I got to hear GE say every single thing I have heard him say before.
Well, yeah, that was not going to be a surprise with me.
It was...
But I did find one thing interesting, though, is what he said towards the end, is that he'll cite scholars, but the issue is about looking at the evidence about that. And I think that's what I was getting at and what I said the first time me and him debated a while back. Hence why I sometimes cite the scholars.
Yeah, he has a huge problem when people cite scholars at him. Every single time I have seen someone do that, he just cries argument from authority.
Right, but at the same time, like, wouldn't it be because he says that he even cites some scholars, but he says he does it to go to the evidence that the scholars are pointing out to, and wouldn't that be the same thing that we're trying to do as well, is that focus on the evidence that these scholars are talking about?
Well, honestly, I think there's a little bit of a double standard. The way he does it, he's okay doing it on occasion. He doesn't like it when other people do it. Is what I've just been seeing.
Yeah. Now, listening to the debate y'all had before I went on, as well as read those two books I mentioned. There's the Finding the Historical Christ, and then there's the historical reliability of the New Testament. Because I knew at some point I was probably going to have to go there to the New Testament if I had learned anything from what happened the first time we debated. Is that he usually gets tired of dealing with Josephus and Tacitus.
I think the reason he continues to go there is just because those are his niches.
Yeah.
I really want to actually debate him sometime on Dying and Rising Gods, because I'm pretty sure I could flat out demolish him on it, especially because I'm writing a book on it right now. So I have read somewhere around 200 different papers on the subject. But I find it kind of funny also that he doesn't like it when people are citing a bunch of scholars at him, and yet every single one of his arguments is verbatim from Carrier.
Yeah, true.
I mean, when I did my debate with GE, the way I prepped was just reading Carrier's material. That was all I had to do, because it was all exactly the same. The Jesus Ben Damnius for the Book 20 of Antiquities, straight from Carrier's paper. The whole argument for Tacitus, again, straight from Carrier. It's pretty funny, in my opinion.
Nope, I see Ave is in the live chat, and I saw, like, I want to get like money or something, like a fundraiser to get him either a laptop, or an iPad or something, so that way we can get this boy. That's a boy with an I, by the way, to get him something to get, because he only has his iPhone, and he doesn't have enough data to get Discord, and so that kills him. That he's no longer able to join us on this stuff. Now that we've moved over to Discord for this.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to help get this shindig started for a GoFundMe or a fundraiser or whatever they do these days, let's send money to help Ave get something for this. Either that or we get Ave just asks this for Christmas. New phone or new iPad or a computer. There's the Southerner.
Hashtag eBeg for Ave.
Exactly. Hashtag eBeg for Ave. That's what we're doing. Either that or we rob a bank. And y'all heard nothing.
So what was like for you? What did you find like the probably worst argument that both of them offered in the discussion?
Well, as far as the worst argument, I don't think there was really one that I can go to of it being the worst argument. At least not that I can think of, because I mean, there was a few things that I think Godless went to that was problematic, at least to me. But that's because I've already looked into this stuff, whereas other people would probably be familiar and would know how to respond, know how to engage with this stuff. I don't like to. I think the main thing is like with for example, people may legit think, and for probably good reasons, why Josephus would have seen as a quote commercial for Christianity that just automatically pops out of nowhere. But when I do a little bit of digging into it, it doesn't seem to come across that way. When we focus on the Greek, and not a lot of people know about that. So.
Yeah. No. When it comes to like the Testimonium Flavianum.
Yeah.
And all that.
Mm-hmm.
It is always one of my favorite passages to actually discuss, and primarily because, in my opinion, what it really ends up coming down to is it's mostly people's. It's this strange dichotomy that mythicists seem to have, where it either has to all be authentic or is all false, but partial authenticity they just want to throw out the window. Despite the fact that almost every source that they try citing on it will cite it as partially authentic. Alice Wheely argues based on the Arabic Syriac line that that was probably the original reading and probably the authentic reading of Eusebius's quote of the Testimonium, but it was then later interpolated further in the Greek and Latin lineages. Mm-hmm. And it's hilarious watching Carrier fight it in his book on the historicity of Jesus, because he just he relegates it to a footnote, and then he's like, it's just she has to explain it away by a conspiracy theory. It's like which is it's in my opinion, it's hilariously unself-aware
mm-hmm.
of the fact that he's peddling a conspiracy theory.
Right. Also, I see Theistic Logos is watching us, which, hey, I've given you the role if you want to come in at some point, Logos. Also, you got that on yeah. My bank robbery confession. Come on, bring it. Here, I got this Gatorade bottle. I have no fear. Bring it. If y'all heard that. If not, that I don't know. My shouting may confuse a lot of people. That I just threw a Gatorade bottle for no reason other than to show off. All right.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Why Gatorade instead of Powerade? Gatorade is like white trash Powerade.
Well, I'm from the South, so I guess that fits me, doesn't it? Yeah. And I live in a trailer park, so just adding insult to injury.
I am on point tonight.
There you go. But in all honesty, it was just because normally I would do Powerade, but I was at Dollar General and I just picked what was nearby that was cheap to get, and it was a big bottle too. So, and plus I had already started drinking it as I. Woo! Man, I tell you, before I did this discussion, I was doing a 30-minute hip hop dance things. Oh, hold up. There's some annoying flying creature on my microphone, so expect a loud thump. Oh, don't you move. Okay, he moved. Never mind. Okay. But no, yeah, I was doing like them hip hop things. So my legs, arms, chest is kind of on fire right now because of how I've apparently learned how to do some dances and incorporate them into a workout. It really gets you in the mood, and apparently 30 minutes of this kind of workout burns at least 200 calories. So I'm willing to check that out and just keep doing this.
So yeah, that sounds like a thing. I am far too lazy to even attempt at exercise. That's why I'm an English major.
Well, there you go. What
looks like it looks like HistoryNet is in the chat.
He's been in here. He's been creeping.
Stop creeping.
Yeah.
I got that a lot from high school.
Huh?
I got too much of that in high school.
Ah. What?
I was a silent type.
Ah.
You got too much of that, or you did too much of that?
Yeah, there's a difference there.
I got too much of that.
Well then. Well, since you're in the room, Chris, this probably might be an interesting... Oh, wait, before we actually touch on that, I do want to point out, and I will make a billboard for it later to advertise for it, because I'm about as excited for this as as a few other people are, and that is that next Friday, I don't know if we will be doing we do plan on doing it around 5 or a little 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. There will be a discussion, theological discussion podcast episode, but a special one, one where we are bringing on furries, not just any furries, but Christian furries. We're bringing on two furries that are a married couple, and which is even much more interesting because what I found out about this was that they are Reformed, meaning Calvinist, in a Southern Baptist church. So essentially me. But they have fursuits, and they go out and they have fun at these conventions and enjoy themselves, especially as a couple. Then we have a fursuit maker. Then we have an internet Christian furry, just that is very bold and open about her faith. And then a potential guest is a rat furry that is one of the co-founders and main leaders of the Christian Furry Fellowship group, especially on Telegram, which is and they also go to panels hosting worship services or Q&As, basically preaching the gospel and having fellowship for those in the furry fandom that want to be part of the church or something like that. So we're going to try to get these guys on so that way we can have a discussion, as well as if you guys have any questions y'all want to ask, whether it be about furries, Christianity, or even about Christians being in the furry fandom. That'd be a good chance to tune into that, which will be next Friday. And like I said, I'm still working on the logo and everything. So yeah.
Fun.
But as I was gonna say, Chris, we got that debate we're trying to schedule at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get Kyle's attention on it, but I think, is Kyle still out?
I think he's back in because they doing a show today, actually.
Oh, okay. So I guess he's just ignoring me. Fucking Kyle. Pardon. Sorry.
Well, I
Do
don't
it-
know if
do it
he's
on modern day
I don't know
debate.
if he's ignoring like
Do it on modern
because-
day debate.
Huh? Well, that's the thing. If it's on modern day debate, I'm gonna really have to stress out to, and it's nothing towards you. It's just I really need stressing out on at this point. If it's anything, cross-examination be the only thing that's a free form kind of thing, because after that debate with Nephilim Free, it just shows that we need a much more stronger structure when it comes to people like just debates in general. That's how debates get focused and usually stay on topic and stay on point, is when we usually have it in a proper formal format. And that's why I like non sequitur kind of evolving towards that compared to when I started off on there, that it just was your opening case and then just have a discussion. I think it fits better when we have time to go over rebuttals and keep someone on the subject and figure things out with a cross-examination, because then you have to follow the rules on that.
Yeah, I actually like formal cross-examinations better than just open discussion.
Yeah.
As well.
And I've been told that that's actually what makes debates terrible, but I'm like, because that was the one thing why Skylar Fiction wouldn't debate me after a while, is because he said that no one wants to hear that. That's something that just gets boring and people start tuning out.
Yeah, Skylar's wrong. That's the reason I live for Bart Ehrman debates, is the cross-examination.
That's why I watch James White debates in general, is because of those. Heck, there was the one that just happened recently in I forget which part. I think it may have been London, but he did another one with Adnan.
Oh yeah, that one was actually, for the first time in my life, I'll actually say James White did really well.
Yeah. Well, did you see the first one with Adnan?
I didn't see the first one. No.
It basically, they did two debates. There's the textual reliability of the New Testament, and then the textual reliability of the Quran. So Adnan was definitely very bad, because that was the first time he ever did encounter anything with James White, and this was also when Adnan still had like long hair, like he didn't had it cut off yet, and he was like saying all kinds of things about like he would basically like reinterpret what Bruce Metzger would say, because the Quran says that the Bible's been corrupted, but the way that they understand that means that they basically changed what originally it said and perverted it with different things. So meaning that the Gospels actually taught Islamic theology and taught very Islamic things, but the New Testament writer or Christian scribes would alter it and change it to create Christianity and to worship Paul or something along those lines. He thinks that when Bart Ehrman and Bruce Metzger say there are corruptions in the text, he's like, see, they admit that people hated what was written. They hated this Islamic stuff that was written, and so they decided to corrupt it. This is the admission of Bart Ehrman and all these other. And so he goes with on this, and James has to say, we heard Adnan's interpretation of Bruce Metzger. Let's get Bruce Metzger's interpretation of Bruce Metzger. And so he pulls up their quotes and everything and goes into it. But what was even worse was the fact that the Muslim, concerning the Quran debate, they were talking about Al-Kindi and his testimony about that there was a discussion about burning Qurans, as well as fighting over different versions of the Quran. And James explained Al-Kindi's a Christian, and he is at least a testimony to early Islamic polemics and all this stuff on what's going on in the Muslim world. And it's as if he didn't hear him. Said he mentions all this stuff about burning Quran. Did James tell you who Al-Kindi is? Did James tell you? And it's like, yes, I did tell him. It's like, no, Al-Kindi is a Christian polemicist. And then all of a sudden, as he says that, everyone's applauding and saying, Takbir! Allah Akbar! Like, you can hear it, like, just not sound stereotypical, but that's literally what you hear. In that.
Strangely, Muhammad Hijab likes white.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. But if he were to read the book, what every Christian needs to know about the Quran, he wouldn't be liking him so much then. Because there's some interest.
No, he liked him when he expressed his disdain for David Wood.
Yeah, because people don't like David Wood. They just want to attack the man instead of actually deal with the because there was a recent thing. I saw a video from Akil on Q, aka Radu Shubahat. Okay, and this is where Chris might be interested in this part of the conversation, is that, as everyone talks about the child marriage thing in the Quran or the Hadith, actually, because that's where actually we have the issue of Aisha being technically, the whole contract is set up at 6, but they consummated the marriage, meaning they officially did the whole thing when she was 9 years old. So as a response, they're basically saying David Wood loves bringing this up, but does David Wood know that the Bible promotes child marriage? And he's like, because if you look, Isaac, he married Rebecca when he was 40 years old, but Rebecca was only 3.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No. And rabbis estimate it anywhere between 12 and 15 on average.
Exactly, and that's based off of I believe the word is nara.
Yeah,
word that is
and it's all problematic in interpretation. We don't. There is no specific date actually given for when she was actually married.
Right,
and Rachel was Jacob's favorite kissing cousin.
Mm-hmm. And so he basically the only thing that he really had to base this off is because, and here's how we know. We have Rashi, who is considered the greatest Jewish scholar to ever exist. No one disagrees or would fight against him that is Jewish. This guy is the best, hands down, Jewish scholar, and he's the one who stated in his commentary on this that she was 3 and he was 40. So that's the greatest Jewish scholar in Jewish academia. And no Jewish scholar is going to disagree with this, was essentially what Akil was saying.
First, okay. Okay. Whew. That was spicy. Number one, I have a friend that actually disagrees with Rashi on quite a few things, and he's an Orthodox Jew.
Ooh, Orthodox. We're not just talking conservative. We're talking Orthodox.
He is full-blown Orthodox Jew.
Wow.
And he does disagree with Rashi on a number of things.
Even his students disagreed with him, didn't they?
Yeah. There were people that, Rashi was disagreed with by a lot of people. The whole thing in Judaism was actually, having discussions and discourse with each other. That's why we have rabbis disagreeing with each other throughout and arguing throughout the whole course of the bloody Talmud. Mm-hmm. This was it was common. Debate was a thing, and it still is a thing. They encourage that kind of thing to happen. So when he says that none of them would disagree with Rashi, I know a lot that disagree with Rashi, particularly in scholarly literature.
Yeah.
And with the...
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, wait. Also, just one last note. Rashi actually states that she was... That, first, Isaac was 37, and that she was probably in her teens. So I'm not even sure where he got that from Rashi.
There is a legit actual quote, because I did look it up, because there's if you look up some Muslim websites, they'll say here it is, discovertruth.com, which essentially kind of mirrors up the same thing, and it goes off of let's see here. Okay, first of all, let me just type in.
Oh no, wait, he was 37 at the binding of Isaac, 40 when he married Rebecca. Yeah. Exactly 40. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I looked something up here.
No, you're good.
Wait, who was 40 then?
Accordingly, it would have been Isaac.
Would have been 40.
Right, that it would have been 40, and Rashi's, or at least in one sense, in one area, did say that she was 3 years old. Which I disagree with, and I don't see where there was really the evidence for the, like, because the main thing that I found was that there's other tough Jewish commentators I found, because I went to like Safari.com, and it would say,
I know there were some that did say she was 3. That was
there were 2 others besides Rashi that would say 3, but then there's a good bit of them, at least the ones that are translated in English.
It says he met her at a well. He met a 3-year-old at a well.
Met a 3-year-old at a well? Where does it say?
Where it says he met her at.
But where does it say met a 3-year-old at a well?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Right, I'm not saying that it's there, because that's the thing. They claim it's there, but number one, the text never says that she was 3. The only thing that they're getting this is from Rashi, and
how would they put that together though?
They just simply try to go to scholars, because the Quran does say when it comes to reading, like, say, the Torah or the Gospels, go to these people and they're the ones that are
what passage are you guys referring to right now?
There are multiple different passages that they go to for it. Forget, the main one is just simply where the commentary goes. At least that I can remember, is the one where it says that Isaac married. So let me see.
It's like in Genesis. It's in Genesis 24.
Are you sure it's not Genesis 25? It's this one it says, and Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebecca.
Oh no, yeah, no, wait. Okay, just a sec. Let me.
And while you do that, I'm
getting conflicting verses from this place, so I'm just gonna say the Apologist is wrong until I say otherwise.
All right, so wait, is this okay? So yeah, let's go with this one, because here's where this is where I found it. Okay, so here it is. This is from Rashi. On the comment on 40 years old, says, and this is from his commentary on Genesis 25:20. For when Abraham came from Mount Moriah, he received the news that Rebekah was born. That is in Genesis 22:20. Yep. Isaac was then 37 years old, because at that time Sarah died, and from the birth of Isaac until the binding, when Sarah died, there were 37 years, since she was 90 years old when Isaac was born. And 127 when she died. Yep. As it is said in chapter 23, verse 1. And the life of Sarah was 127 years. Thus, Isaac was when 37 years old. At that period, Rebekah was born, and he waited until she was fit for marriage, 3 years, and then married her, Seder Olam. So that's where they're getting it from, is from the commentary of Genesis 25:20, where Rashi says he waited 3 years, and then she was born at that point. So that's where they're getting that.
Well, we got way out in the weeds here.
Mm-hmm. And so I decided to take a look more into this. And then there's Chizkuni. You familiar with Chizkuni? Chris?
What?
Are you familiar with
the guy? You dropped out there for a second for me.
Dropped out? Okay. You familiar with a guy named Chizkuni?
Yeah.
Alright, so go into his commentary. This is when I started to get into it. Rashi's comment on this apparently historically irrelevant detail is that the Torah informed us that Yitzchak, after marrying Rivka, So I assume that's Isaac, after marrying Rebecca, waited for 3 years until she was old enough to engage in intercourse and become pregnant. And he puts up parentheses, 14 years old. In his commentary on Genesis 24:16, item 91, Rabbi Kasher in his Torah Shleama deals at length with the conflicting opinions about Rebecca's age at marriage. Sifri on Deuteronomy 34:7 claims that Rebecca lived to the age of 133 years, same age as that of Kehat, son of Levi. Our author calculates that if Rebecca had only been 3 years at the time when she was married, that calculation would be wrong by 11 years. He proceeds to give details tracing the various ages of our patriarchs and matriarchs down to the birth of Kehat. He also understands the midrash, according to which Abraham heard about the fact that Bethuel had fathered Rebekah, as not meaning that this had occurred at the same time as the Achira, or Akida, but that Abraham had belatedly heard about this, as proof that Rebekah could not have been only 3 years old when Eliezer met her. He cites the fact that her brother and mother referred to her as and there's that word, Nara, a term never applied to someone younger than 12 and a half years of age. The well-known traditional historic text known as Siddur Olam, which we heard earlier on Rashi, in its first chapter also writes that when Abraham returned from the Akida, he was told that Rebekah had been born. The meaning of that midrash was that she had been born some time ago. So we're just going to stop there because he does get a little lengthy, but that was the first thing, and he's not the only one. There's several more that I would then keep going into that kind of agree with Chizkuni versus Rashi. So yeah. Also, sup, Ave, I see you say yikes. And also, someone explain to me what the heck is peace tea?
What?
We're seeing in the live chat, what is it, Theistic Logos, he commented on what me and Chris were saying earlier because we got into the thing about Powerade and Gatorade. Apparently, how Gatorade's white trash all of a sudden. He says that no Powerade or Gatorade, peace tea is perfect. So, wait, is that like an actual product, peace tea? Hey, Chris, are you there? Guess he's busy. Engine, you there?
When is your debate happening anyway?
Well, that's
You guys,
that's what we're
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was having an internet problem.
No, you good, man. Man, everybody's having an internet problem. I had one earlier during the discussion.
I'm in the middle of the sticks. So.
Well, good. Well, that's interesting. I think we might be neighbors.
I'm in Michigan, though.
Nope, nah, never mind.
I'd say nobody's neighbors with me. Actually, no. Actually, there's one person that is, and unfortunately, it's Matt Powell.
Oh boy.
Oh, God.
You don't plan on cross-dressing like you did with Ken Ham, are you?
And going and visiting Matt Powell?
Well, if you want to, pardon the viewers for hearing this, if you want to go up and act like some kind of call-in hooker, because trust me, I've seen the outfit. I wish I didn't, but I saw the outfit when you messaged Ken Ham.
That was fun. I greatly enjoyed myself doing that one.
I could imagine. It looked like I was entering a. It felt like I was apparently seeing pictures from an anime convention, and it's like, hey, look, we're about to go see the shadow casting of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Fun fact, I actually have done Halloween as Dr. Frankenfurter, so.
I imagine.
I went as a woman for Halloween for like a couple Halloweens.
That's because you are a woman.
Exactly.
But
by the way, if anyone wants to come on in, because I see we got some people in the live chat and other people that are watching, because we've got 6 concurrent viewers, feel free to come on in and just chill with us.
yeah, I mean, yeah, we need to get SJ in here. We need someone to beat up.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Well, that'll be probably difficult.
And they are absolutely vile to her.
Well, to be fair, there are some things that, like, I think she needs to, like, make sure to not back down and actually stand up for and reply to almost everything that happens in terms of the criticism that gets laid out. Because when I just simply pointed out, for example, because she made the big argument from using the what's it called, the woman caught in adultery story, in the Gospel of John.
Oh yeah, the pericope adulterae.
Yeah. She made that the main argument shows why Christianity is true and why Christianity has so much influence versus atheism. At least I recall that was what it's about. And all of a sudden,
I can see why people would want that story to be in there, because it's the most iconic story in the Gospels. But
yeah, and in fact, that's what was interesting, that Daniel B. Wallace actually asked, if you would have picked between the two, the pericope adultery versus the longer ending of the Gospel of Mark, which would you choose? And people would choose they've always usually said pericope adultery, even though they said, that's interesting because you'd at least have more manuscript evidence for the gospel, for the longer ending of Mark, but you have even less evidence for the pericope adultery, especially in terms of some of the majority texts and all these other different manuscripts. So I pointed this out, that is a questionable verse, and that there's not much manuscript evidence supporting it, and there's very much high doubt about it in Christian scholarship, even amongst her favorites, that they would doubt it. And all of a sudden she accuses me out of nowhere, saying I'm fighting for the other team and I'm defending atheism.
Oh, I remember that. That was a fun one. That was juicy.
Yeah. And then some other guy, the guy that's always has like I don't know his name. He's got a profile picture where he's wearing a red shirt and has a cap on. Not gonna lie, kind of reminds me of what's that? One guy who usually made a lot of like political documentaries that were very like provocative. Something more.
You're not helping me here.
Michael Moore. Yeah, Michael Moore. He kind of looks like Michael Moore occasionally.
No idea who that is.
All right. What? Who Michael Moore is?
No, not a clue.
Oh man.
I don't watch much TV.
Well, he was definitely popular a while back. He's definitely gotten too washed out nowadays, but he did some anti-Bush documentary, and then he went up to.
Did he do like Fahrenheit?
I think that's what it was. I think that's what it was called.
Yeah. Okay. Now I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but he kept trying to defend it, and of course we got on to the thing that eventually. He kept eventually trying to go to the same thing about the documentary hypothesis and saying that basically we don't know who wrote the Torah, just like we don't know who really wrote this down, but we know that because it was written down, regardless of knowing who wrote it, it's still true. So meaning, yes, it's a later interpolation, but it's still 100% true, and we can just still say it is from John, even though it's not. Which frustrated a couple of the other guys, including somehow James White got tagged into the discussion because he's a guy that deals with his textual variants and New Testament textual criticism stuff, and he just like said, okay, I'm not dealing with this. It's clear you have no idea what you're talking about. If you're going to just keep acting ignorant on this stuff, it's not worth having a conversation with you. So it also shocks me as to how some of the people that follow SJ.
Yeah. In all honesty, none of that surprises me at all.
Yeah.
I have seen and been responded to with enough trite like that in the past that none of it at all phases me. In fact, I've gotten that same kind of thing from SJ, so herself. So, like, when she decided to, I made a post a long time ago on my old blog in response to her article on the existence of Moses, in which she never even actually gave an argument for the existence of Moses.
Yeah, I think I did notice that, and that's why I'm hoping that I can do a better job at least. I know I'm definitely not going to, probably at least for you, not pull off at least trying to go for what I think would be majority a view of Moses. I can only at least kind of do the same thing I do with Jesus and at least argue that we do know that there was a person that fits the narratives of the biblical Moses that we can at least say that was based off of.
Was there ever a time you argued against his existence?
Huh?
What?
Was there ever a time you argued against his existence?
Who?
Moses or Jesus?
No,
Moses.
he's asking Moses, and I don't know who he's asking that to.
I think he's asking me, right?
Obviously.
Okay. Yeah, I actually, I did take a little bit of an agnostic stance on the existence of Moses for a while, but I never have considered the topic even worth debating, really, because in my view, the existence of Moses was negligible because it didn't really change my view on the Exodus or anything. I'm now to the place where I do think that there was a historical Moses, and I think that there is actually some reliable information in the book of Exodus, but I think that it's completely overblown what is there.
I look at the Exodus as I do the Trojan War, but I do hold that the receiving the commandments on Mount Sinai was a historical event.
Yeah, I'm not on board there. I think that he was probably like some kind of lawgiver or a priest, Egyptian in origin, and then and then what ended up happening is he was legendary. He was turned into a legend, kind of the same way Balaam was. We know Balaam was actually a pretty famous prophet of some kind.
He was a prophet of Ishtar who had a run-in with El. Or El Shaddai, or some.
El Shaddai. There's a lot of debate over that, so what's the one that you should probably check out, the book in particular, if you want a good look at it, is Prophets and Prophecy in the Ancient Near East by Marty Nissanen, and with stuff also by Chun Leong So and Robert Rittner. They have particularly the Dire Allah inscriptions, which actually are what mention Balaam in other texts, and so there's debate over whether or not Shaddai there is supposed to be referencing a specific other deity, or if it's referencing if it's referencing other gods. If it's referencing another deity, though, we're pretty sure it's not referencing Yahweh, because the inscriptions there are actually far different from anything else we have regarding any stuff with Yahweh in it.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry, side tangent.
No, you're good. I do have one curious question. Do you ever
Sure.
think you're going to like, I know you like talking, and you're planning on going from Old Testament to the New Testament and your whole thing. but have you ever considered doing, anytime a study on Islam?
I've considered possibly touching on Islam. There are a couple problems. And first problem is that I have absolutely no knowledge of Arabic at all. And
Just watch David Wood's series Paul versus Muhammad, and you'll get fairly acquainted with it.
Well, that alone won't get on some of this stuff, because that's the thing. I don't really learn all my stuff from David Wood. Like, David Wood only tackles like 10 to 5 or 5 to 10% of what I know about the stuff. When I read James White's book, like, I managed to learn, for example, that there's actually a tafsir from Ibn Kathir where he mentions something from Ibn Abbas, which the hadith says that Ibn Abbas is considered the greatest commentator of the Quran because his knowledge of the tafsir, or the commentary of how to interpret the Quran, comes directly from Allah, because Muhammad prayed for wisdom from Allah to be granted onto Ibn Abbas. And all the scholars of Islam interpret that as in, number one, no prayer to Allah never gets turned down. And number two, this wisdom is in reference to specifically about the Quran, and hence why many view him as this greatest commentary on the Quran. So as a result, Ibn Abbas in Ibn Kathir's tafsir says that the passage about the corruption is not textual. It says corruption as in they change the meaning of the words, but they don't change the actual words. Hence, the modern majority Muslim view today is that, that when it says corruption in the Quran, that they corrupt their scriptures, they corrupt it by changing the words up with different texts, and that's what you see in the New Testament manuscripts, is that they changed and altered it that way. It's like, that's not what the Quran means, though, when it talks about that passage. And this is because of what Ibn Abbas says, which comes from Ibn Kathir, a great Islamic commentator, and why he's considered great is because he goes to and this is the same reason why Al-Tabari is considered a good one, is because that he's considered, they always quote the Sahaba or the Salafs. And that, of course, would be another reason why Chris would have to learn Arabic in order to get acquainted, not just learn from David Wood. Because if he does learn Arabic, he can at least read the tafsirs. You only have two major tafsirs that are translated into English, Al-Jalalain and Ibn Kathir. That's it. But even the better scholars than them are in pure Arabic. They have not been translated into English.
Part of the reason for that is also because Quran studies are very new, exceedingly new.
Yep.
So the critical study of the Quran is like in its infancy, which is one reason why a lot of them are not being translated, is because particularly not very many people over here have been taking a huge amount of interest in it. Mm-hmm. So that's a major problem there. I don't fault that as an issue, but yeah, I wouldn't feel safe taking on anything to do with the Quran unless I had a really good knowledge of Arabic.
Yeah.
And
you don't get the full magic of the Quran unless you learn the Arabic.
Right.
You don't get the full magic of any ancient text unless you learn the original language that it was in.
Well, no, like that, because you've heard that argument before, right? Like,
I have. I have Muslim friends that have told me that before.
Has anyone ever told you the cat miracle?
Yeah.
Yeah, the cat will not walk on the Quran.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put a lot of things.
Some of them are really funny, but that's all. But I've heard even more ludicrous ones from Christians as of late, but don't get me started on those.
Like what? Like what?
Oh, that Jesus appeared to me in goldfish crackers.
Oh, that's
boy.
Total crap. I remember that one about his face being on his toast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the one with him being on toast. I mean, that one resurfaces like it almost every year now.
Hey Chris, can you see the picture in general
Yeah,
chat?
yeah. I actually went up and I looked up the debates. I've saved them for later.
Yeah, that's Adnan with longer hair.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think it
No.
was shortly after that debate that he got it cut.
Okay. Yeah, I've got. I do actually have Arabic as a language that I am probably going to end up teaching myself, or when I go to study Hebrew Bible in graduate school, I'll take primarily because it's actually there's a number of instances of its use, particularly in the Book of Job,
Mm-hmm.
um, interspersed, but particularly because I'd have to really be dealing with the works of Alfred Galom, who argued that Arabic was the original language of Job, actually, and so did Matthew Henry, and I believe also Ibn Ezra.
Yeah.
But yeah, Arabic is a language that I'm going to be learning anyway, so I might end up tackling the Quran at some point, but it's not on my priority list at all.
Right.
It's also I generally lose interest, particularly with like history of religion, after like around like the 5th century CE, because at that point most everything's starting to become Christianized, and then and Islam is primarily the result of a mixture of the Iranian pre-Islamic religions mixed with Gnosticism and early Christianity, all playing some influential roles as well.
Mm.
So, at that point for me, it's just like, oh, it's basically all Christian now.
I did do a
No offense, I just lose interest at that point.
right, but there was one podcast episode I did where I talked about there's a paper that was done by two Muslim scholars, and the paper essentially just went over that you have basically the one of the Quranic manuscripts, I believe it's the Sa'ana palimpsest manuscript. Are you familiar with what a palimpsest is?
Yeah.
All right, just making sure before I go into it. So, so you had the lower text and the bigger and the upper text, the erased, and then the one that you see on the paper. They checked it under the UV lighting and discovered that it was basically a rewritten and edited Quran, where word order was changed, different words were placed that would change the meaning. But what was even more interesting that was found, and this is the only time we have a significant change, is that in the earlier version, the one that was erased, there was a missing verse, and in Surah 9, and they then added that verse when they wrote on top of it after erasing or washing it.
Okay.
And so that definitely pokes a hole in the argument, because a lot of the things with the Muslims today is usually that the Quran has remained the same. It has never, ever, ever changed a single word, letter, or dot in the copying. It is perfectly preserved 100% from every single manuscript that they have.
Yeah. No. See, that every time I hear someone even attempt to argue something like that, and I've heard it from Christians, I've actually heard it from Hindus, I've heard it from Muslims, I've heard it from almost everyone except neo-pagans. Basically, I'm sitting here like, yeah, no. The minute you have a text that's basically older than 50 years, you're going to have alterations in it.
Yep.
Case in point, I can point to Lord of the Rings, which has 3 different editions. Like, the minute and it's particularly prevalent in ancient texts where you have a bunch of people writing down half of the time who don't give a rip how they're spelling anything, and so they're going to spell things randomly every time, and they'll misspell things, or they'll leave out a page, or they'll leave out a sentence, or they'll leave out a verse. It's absolutely insane to think that there has been no alterations whatsoever. And I can't get behind anyone that tries taking a position like that, because in my mind, it's just intellectually dishonest in every single way.
Oh, you should talk to Marshall then. He's a Muslim guy I debated once on Steve McRae's channel back before Non Sequitur was a thing, on Is Jesus God? And he eventually made a fool of himself later on, and hence why he doesn't want to come back on Steve's show. But the reality is that he's not allowed, because he just pretty much insulted and accused people of being racist when they weren't being racist.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, he basically, like, what was it? Rob from Sentinel Apologetics tried to bring up, because the topic was about evolution, and Marshall was trying to say something that about, a change, or no, it was about a theory. It's like, it's a theory, meaning it's nothing more than just your thoughts. Like, the theory can then have facts, is like, or the theory is a categorization of facts that exist, and they're put the facts together to propose something. He's like, but no scientist would ever tell you that. He's like, yes, they do. Go read a book, Marshall. You want like 50 pages or something? And so it got...
Oh yeah, Chris, I'm interviewing your favorite scholar after the summer's over.
Who?
The legendary Michael Heiser.
Oh,
Okay, to be honest, I'm actually warming up to Michael Heiser a little bit, but I still completely disagree with him on Deuteronomy 32:8-9, like,
which
completely and totally.
What's the issue on that? It's Deuteronomy 32.
Deuteronomy 32:8-9. So the whole of Deuteronomy.
Hold up. Let me pull this up, because I'm gonna also share, since this is the one time I can actually do this. I'm gonna pull this up on our online Bible.
Me and Chris got into a 12-hour fight over this when my girlfriend was in the hospital.
So Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 8.
And then you brought Stepper into it, and then I ended up having to write a whole blog post and respond to in response to him.
Well, yeah, because that's his specialty, Ugaritic studies.
All right, so
yeah,
let's go to this Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 8.
He gave me an A- on it, so I'm proud of that.
All right, let's go over this. So what's the issue?
So the first to note is that the whole passage, Deuteronomy 1-43, scholars have long recognized as a separate tradition from the rest of Deuteronomy, particularly because it contains a ton of archaisms and linguistic rarities that occur basically nowhere else in Deuteronomy at all.
Okay.
So it's likely that is a much older tradition, probably between the 10th and 8th centuries BCE, before the composition of the rest of the Deuteronomistic history. What has scholars befuddled is in the text you're probably reading, it's going to say when the Most High gave the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of mankind, he made limits or boundaries for the peoples according to the number of the sons of Israel. For Yahweh's portion is his people, Jacob is his allotted heritage. Is that basically close to what you have?
Kinda. I'm reading the King James, but like I keep telling all the King James only advocates, yeah, that's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. So the big problem comes in. There's a couple textual variants that we have, and they're the oldest ones. So where it says "sons of Israel," the oldest Dead Sea Scroll manuscripts actually read the "sons of El." So they read Bnei El instead of Bnei Yisrael.
So just read.
And that's also backed up in early manuscripts of the Septuagint as well, with the reading "Son of God." and so and then there's another secondary reading which is Sons of Elohim.
Okay.
So what it looks like is that the original reading was altered because scribes seem to have recognized that there was a polytheistic element in it. Where the debate is between basically the scholarly mainstream and people like Heiser is it actually polytheistic in nature? It's when the people who were compiling Deuteronomy compiled it, they were most certainly all either monotheists
Monolateral.
or at least
Deuteronomy was a monolateralist book.
Right. They were either monolatrous or the compilers were monotheists at the very most. But basically meaning that they only worshipped one God, the God they considered the high God. Where the problem comes in is then the interpretation. Because there are three divine epithets in the passage. There's Elyon, which is translated Most High. There's El, which is the oldest the oldest reading that we have is if we're going to go with that, and most scholars do at this point, including Emmanuel Tov, who basically wrote the book on Hebrew textual criticism, literally. And then there's Yahweh. So what we have there is, are all three referencing the same deity, or are they referencing separate deities? And if they're referencing separate deities, what epithets go with who? So where my argument with HistoryNet and Stepper came in was they take the Heiser approach, that basically the passage is basically referring just to Yahweh. At least, that's exactly Heiser's approach. Heiser basically thinks that all of that is Yahweh.
And Richard Elliott Friedman.
And Elliot Friedman, and also Peter Craigie, and like 2 or 3 others I found. But
which, by the way, I'm starting to learn more of these names ever since I've gotten those Old Testament books in the mail.
Oh yeah. Basically, there's a bit of division on it, but the majority of the mainstream scholars tend to think that it is either it's monolatrist / polytheistic,
right,
in nature.
Yeah.
But anyways, aside from that, basically the debate comes that I was having specifically was, does the term Elyon is that supposed to be referring to the god El, or is it supposed to be referring to the god Yahweh? Stepper and Michael Heiser argued almost only exclusively from the Ugaritic texts that it couldn't be referencing El because it's never used to reference El anywhere in the Ugaritic corpus, and they're completely right on that. I double checked that with Mark S. Smith and with Dennis Pardee, who are in the English speaking world in general. They're basically the 2 foremost experts on Ugaritic studies. Mm-hmm. And I double checked that, and I actually found an error with the Dictionary of Demons and Deities and Demons on that specifically. But what they ended up neglecting were several other inscriptions, which actually add quite a bit of light, including Kunte Erjud inscription 4.2, as well as the Sapphire 1 treaty, and a couple of other instances that seem to, and all of those actually have instances of using Elyon as referring to the god El. And all of those are also much closer to Palestine or in Palestine. So they're all actually directly far more relevant to the discussion on Yahweh and on this passage. So basically what I ended up arguing was based off of that, and then also there's the problem that El in very interesting is that he is the father and the superior deity of Baal, despite the fact that Baal is the one that's called by the cognate Elyon. So he is actually superior to the quote-unquote Most High God. So what I ended up arguing was that what we ended up having here is most likely a Canaanite tradition that's been carried over, and particularly because we have in several other texts, including Ugaritic texts, and then also in later Canaanite texts like Philo-Biblos and stuff, instances of El being associated with the one who divides the nations, the one who has all the children of the gods, who gives allotments to his children, and then we also have him being associated with Elyon. I make a caveat though that even if Elyon, quote, Most High, is not referring to El, Yahweh would still be a subordinate deity in that passage, because even in the Ugaritic materials, the deity called Most High is still subordinate to El. So,
Can I ask a question really quick?
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting, but like this isn't meant to start an argument and just question if Yahweh is considered to be God, like our closest estimate of what God's divine name is, would that technically mean that Yahweh represents the entire Trinity then?
No, it wouldn't really mean that, because Elyon is being, in that passage, Elyon is being used in reference to one of two deities. So it could only be referencing one of two people. It's not unless one decided to try and make the argument that there was a separate deity Elyon, in which case we would have three potential figures being talked about in Deuteronomy.
Yeah, I guess the Gnostics were right after all.
That one gets really problematic because we have no direct attestation except for in Philo-Biblos of a god named Elyon. And the problem with Philo-Biblos is that the god he's actually referring to is Adonis. That he's just given the he seems to have merged that with the title Elyon, or I think if I remember correctly, the Greek he translates it from is Hypsistos. So it's real.
Adonis means Lord, which Baal also means.
Yeah. I know that. The problem is that there's also the specific deity Adonis, who is killed by the boar and everything.
Yeah.
So while I disagree with this whole thing here about like that it's referring to some sort of a form of a monolatry or polytheism in early Jewish religion, I do have one question.
Well, not Jewish, Israelite.
Or Israelite, yeah. Let's go. So, here's the thing. Yeah. You meant because I heard El Shaddai earlier. Where I'm from, we have this person on the Twitter who goes by the name of Jory Micah. Have you ever heard of that name?
Nope.
She's a egalitarian advocate, and she said that the Israelites viewed God as a woman because the name El Shaddai means big-breasted one, and they're
no. Wrong.
Oh yeah, I heard of that one. That Shaddai.
Wrong. We don't. Okay. Based on El Shaddai.
Yeah. They base it off of El Shaddai and say
that's wrong. Okay, we don't even know really what El Shaddai actually means.
It meant either the mountain or Almighty.
Well, no, that's not actually true. Actually, El Shaddai, that title, could mean God of the hill country, God of the mountain people, God of the high one. It could be God of the many gods. Shaddai. That's one of the problems that we have in the Dire Allah inscriptions, is whether or not Shaddai is actually a reference to a pantheon. So we don't actually know what that actually means, but we know specifically that is not most likely not any reference to this strange female deity, and definitely they did not view Yahweh as a female god.
Right.
Ever. That it's actually that is one of the few somewhat original points about Yahweh that we find that we have been finding in history, and specifically about his portrayal in the Bible, is that he is not given he is not given a gendered body like the other gods are.
Mm-hmm.
So
but there's masculine and feminine pronouns used in reference to
but
God in the Old Testament.
but it's most likely that that's just because they didn't have a true neutral pronoun that they would use in reference to a being.
Right.
And that would make
Richard
Yahweh
D.
rather
Nelson,
unique, wouldn't it?
Actually covers that in his Old Testament book about the different pronouns that are used concerning that. Though,
Yeah.
in his conclusions, though, I disagree what he ultimately follows to that, but he does get, I believe, the history right about like why they utilize certain different names, especially the fact of the different descriptions and gender kind of based thing, like all that. But I did. So you remember the guy Marshall that I told you about? He's watching us right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so trying to see if I can get him to come in, because you can actually see him. There's a video that's on live right now, where technically it's like the spiritual sequel to the debate we had, and RC Apologist versus two Muslim various topics, because he went all over the place. And at one point we started talking about, and I don't know, you're like, just to make sure, whether it be brief or not, how familiar are you with the Quran, Chris?
Barely at all.
All right. So, but you would say, based off of what you do know, even if it's that barely, that Muhammad did engage in warfare or jihad?
Can you repeat that? You phased out for me just there.
Would you agree though that there is warfare or jihad that Muhammad engaged in against?
Certainly.
So his whole thing was about the Canaanites and the Amalekites.
Oh God.
Yeah, his objection was, here you go, you have God commanding and ordering the slaughter of donkeys and camels and little babies. What did babies and camels and donkeys ever do? This is just wicked and pure evil, and that's a wicked and stupid God. If he's going to order the death of these things and just to kill these things, that's a wicked and sinful thing.
Yeah. I'd hate to break it to him, but that's just how gods did things. All gods did that.
Yep.
And
even his own.
We're gonna be a little spicy here, but if we're to believe the prophets and of Islam, and I know Abraham and others, then yeah, that was Allah also commanding many of those things, and especially when Muhammad decided that he was going to sack several cities in his giant campaign, many of which probably led to the mass butchering of innocent civilians all over.
Yeah, he's now saying in the chat, my God never ever commanded the killing of babies.
So okay, Marshall, do you believe that the 10 plagues of Egypt happened?
Ooh, that's a good question. Though I did try to ask him this, though he rejects hadith. So apparently he rejects hadith if it contradicts his personal feelings, which was in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, which are considered authentic by Muslim scholars, about Muhammad ordering the killing of dogs. Muhammad ordered the killing of dogs. Okay, so Marshall's asking, show me one scripture, and I guess this is referring to the Quran, where Allah commands the killing of infants. I dare you. So it looks like he's trying to get spicy now. Chris, you there?
We also got to ask him which portrayal of God. There's several portrayals
one
of
thing
God in
that
the Old Testament.
I simply can't argue, though, because I just don't know Quran that well. So,
Right.
unfortunately, I can't give you something off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll
but
give one thing.
I'm just gonna say, if you consider Moses to be a prophet, which is, he is one of the prophets of Islam.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, at least.
Yeah.
All
Musa.
of my Muslim friends have attested that he is.
Yeah, Musa.
Then, and you think that the 10 plagues happened, which all my Muslim friends do, then you have to basically live with the fact that God killed and executed every firstborn.
Yep, there's that.
That's only if you accept Moses as a prophet and and the deeds that he accomplished.
Yeah, let me see if there's actually somewhere in the Quran about that. So let's see. You have Exodus. But let's see if there's anything. Let's see. Quran's 9 plagues of Moses. Okay, well, then again, this is from a Christian, one of these Christian, like, very anti-Islamic sites, so I don't think it's legit actually trying to focus on that. So let's see. The plagues in Egypt, knowing Allah. So that could, yep, this one looks like it's actually a Muslim site. So this one does actually refer to the plagues, and this is in Surah 7, ayah 130 to 131 is where it talks about the plagues. But other than that, there's also the flood story. They affirm that Noah's flood happened, and the only people who were spared was Noah's family. So everything else, besides the one pair of the animals that gets up on the ark with them, and everything else is then flooded to die. Right, Chris?
Okay, so yeah, God killed babies.
And not just babies, but the other animals, though, that weren't part of the
No,
pair that got to be up there.
Technically, the destroyer killed the babies.
Well, no, we're talking about the Quran.
If we're being technical.
We're talking about the Quran. The Quran says Allah.
Oh.
So Quran has different implications than what you're trying to get to.
I was referring to the slaughter of the babies during the plagues.
Right.
Yeah,
we're
but
talking about some different and in a different context, because the Muslims definitely have a different depiction of the Old Testament prophets.
Yeah.
And so if we go to the flood accounts in the Quran about the Noah story, which I think Surah 71 is one of them. There's also Surah 37, and there's others that talk about the flood of Noah. It talks about pretty much the same thing we see parallel to the biblical account, except there's something of one of the family members either starts doubting and then gets caught up into the flood, or that one of them then gains trust. I forget. It's been a while since I read the flood narratives, because when Marshall brought up the whole thing, I studied this, and he never responded to that.
Yeah. Long story short, though, Quran looks like Allah actually actively killed infants and animals and all that. So,
and I don't criticize him for that. Oh, now he's okay. So here's what he's saying now. He's responding. Now he's saying the flood of Noah can't be equated with what's in the book of Samuel.
Watch me.
Uh-oh.
Seriously, watch me equate it. What? Actually, you know what? The flood is worse because, at least in Samuel, God decides to have other people do his dirty work for him. The flood, God actively decided to kill everyone himself. So, if anything, equating the two just makes the Old Testament God look nicer.
Yep. And by the way, I won't comment on the thing because just keeping in mind for Marshall, because since this is his first time meeting him, this guy is an unbeliever as far as I'm concerned, right? Like, are you agnostic or what is your position on the religious?
Steve McRae agnostic.
You're a Steve McRae level agnostic.
Yeah.
All right. Also, welcome, Luna.
Luna.
Oh boy.
That's pretty agnostic.
Yep. He's a lacktheist. At least if he's still using that term nowadays.
Hey, Luna.
Let's see if Luna, just you're muted at the moment, so if you there you go.
Sorry about that.
Nah, you good.
Hi,
Just
Luna.
making sure. Oh, good old Chris. All right.
Chris Hansen.
Yeah.
Let us all take a seat for a moment.
Of course. You know, I am never going to be able to ever get away from that meme. And you know what sucks about that meme is that Chris Hansen is also from Michigan.
He is?
Like you?
He is. He is actually from Michigan as well.
Oh wow.
I didn't know that.
And he went to a school that I applied to as well.
There you go.
That's weird.
It's really weird. You think it's weird? You think that's weird? Think about it from my angle. I have the exact same bloody name as the guy. I've been around most of the same area as the guy. And have
Wait, is
applied
that
to
the guy in your
same
profile
school.
pic?
It is eerily creepy. I'm not sure. I'm not sure we're separate people, honestly. I think that he's my alter ego.
Okay, now I remember. now I know why Chris Hansen sounds familiar, because I remember from that one Boondocks episode. I was like, yeah, I know who you are, Chris Hansen, or as I like to call you, but I like to call you Chris Hansen. Now,
I saw that. I just remembered seeing that
we could do
on
this
YouTube
easy way.
with no context either.
We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Choice is yours. All right, so Marshall finally responded. He's not the reason he's not joining us, by the way, because he's over in Morocco. So it's nighttime. I guess
That's no excuse.
He said God did warn the people of Noah, whoever listened saved, and those who rejected him got their punishment. It would have been unfair if God didn't command them.
Okay. You know what? The Amalekites had every opportunity to stop attacking Israel. The whole reason, and if you actually go back and actually look at the context, the reason they're annihilated is because they attacked Israel.
Yep. And I told Marshall that.
It was a defense genocide. So if that's going to be your justification for God killing babies, the Israelites have an even better justification, and the God of the Bible has a way better for defending his people from being slaughtered by other people.
And keep in mind what was said there. It said whoever listened were saved, which I think that's what I was trying to say earlier, is that there's two of the ones where I think there were a couple people that eventually later were able to get on or something like that. And it's because they repented and believed. Because like I said, the Noahic, the flood of story in the Quran will differ with the biblical one. Usually all of them do. Like Abraham, there's a story in the Quran about Abraham like playing with the idols, that because he was an idol maker and he would play with them and bash them and mock the idols in front of people, which eventually was because he did it because of his father being an idol seller or maker, and he was forced to do that.
And he got punished and sent to his room or something like that.
No, it was actually more so that he was wanted to be put to death. was what I recall the story being. But let's see. Marshall says, in the book of Samuel, God basically commanded the Israelites to smash Amalekites out of jealousy.
No, that was not the reason.
Yeah, this is why I wonder if Marshall's even listening, because you
really
literally
honest.
just said
We pre-addressed that.
It was
The
retaliation.
Israelites were jealous. They were jealous of other people sacrificing babies to idols. I didn't know that.
Well, okay. The when it comes to the infant sacrifice aspect, that Israel was kind of going in that direction as well.
Okay, now this is where I must step in.
They had their own problems there. Heath Durrell has wrote an entire monograph on that.
Okay, first of all, who? Second of all, what's a monograph?
Monograph. So a monograph is like it's a book, but a really expensive one from a scholarly press, not meant for laymen. So basically, you look at it and then you're like, "Holy crap! I don't know what's happening here." That's basically a monograph. And generally, a lot of times, also monographs can be pretty short in length. They can range anywhere from like 90 pages to, I've seen some that go like 500. I think like John Granger Cook's on Apotheosis is 400 or 300. But anyways, Heath Durrell is a professor of Hebrew Bible. And I think he's at Harvard Divinity School. He's there with Mark S. Smith and several others. He is a top-rate scholar, and he's also a Christian.
From there, yeah.
Yeah, he's also a Christian to my knowledge. You can actually find an interview. He did an interview with Dr. Josh on Digital Hammurabi's channel.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out then, because I like Josh, and I might like this guy. But let's give some before we address, because I did leave just a couple notes, that way Marshall can just read and decide that. Give some room to have these people talk, because we have Luna come in and she said a couple of things. We don't want to make her feel like she's left out, or like we're like hogging things up with our talking to this one guy on the live chat. And I'm burning up in this robe. Yes, that's right. I'm wearing a robe, and it's summertime. Sue me. All right. I'm white trash as they come. Luna, how are you doing?
Bit of a rough morning, but I feel better now. Thank goodness.
Is it because you're with some very awesome, cool dudes right now?
One reason.
That's one reason.
And I have ice cream.
Give me ice cream! I want ice cream. It's burning up where I'm at.
Mint chocolate chip.
No, boy. Mint chocolate chip. Blech.
Mint.
No.
Superman. Strawberry.
Superman.
What?
Yeah,
You
you
never
guys
heard
aren't
of Superman ice cream?
They aren't from
No.
Michigan. You have to come up to like the North Midwest and then to in order to even find it.
Man, what the heck, man? Okay, well,
it's
y'all have
wonderful.
exclusives.
Yeah,
yes, we do.
We have quite a few exclusives. We have like dill pickle chips. Those are almost those are pretty exclusive. You actually have to get close to the Canadian border to find them.
In Washington, we have an exclusive celebrity. His name is Bigfoot.
Ah.
I thought you were gonna say Kurt Cobain.
Nope, it's Bigfoot. Bigfoot's
Or
way too popular around here.
And more hairier than Kurt.
Way more alive than Kurt.
And Tupac.
Oh yeah, okay, so Marshall finally within the time we had there responded. Okay, so Chris, he said just because their forefathers did something wicked, referring to the when the Amalekites attacked the Israelites, it doesn't mean they're infants who happen to I guess he meant to say to be innocent, deserve to be killed. Very unjust indeed. And then he has something specifically addressed to me on a different issue. So, do you want to deal with that one?
Sure. Okay. The funny thing here, Marshall, is that every single time you make a counter argument to me, you're making a counter argument to your own God. Logically, if the God of the Bible is not justified in ordering the destruction of the Amalekites because and it's not that they were previously attacking Israel, they were still attacking Israel. That's the context of the passage. And he's not justified in wiping them out, then logically Allah was not justified in performing the flood. End of story. Because those infants should not have been judged and killed because of the actions of their forefathers. Therefore, Allah is still just as unjustified as the God of the Old Testament. He is still just, in your word, at least in the way you were portraying the God of the Old Testament, this horrible, murderous monster.
And
you fail to make your God any better morally.
Mm-hmm. Right, which is why I don't use this argument when it comes to him. I don't try to say that Allah would be unjust with some of the stuff that, frankly, is just repeating same things from the Old Testament, along with, of course, the raids and the offensive jihad from Muhammad. Which, by the way, if anyone wants to, of course, this is one time I'd suggest this from an atheist. Check out a video on offensive jihad and how Muhammad promoted and how the Quran and the Hadith endorse this. Check out Masked Arab's video on this stuff. He knows Arabic and he can go over these sources, even in Arabic, to people that aren't familiar with it, so that way we can at least have some insight into it. But Marshall is now saying, quote, RC, if I were ever to become a Christian, I would never believe in the Trinity, since it's a fabrication, and it's a non-biblical based doctrine. I would rather be a Unitarian than a Trinitarian, for some reason, checkmark. He says, Trinitarian equals a fabricated doctrine after the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD.
Oh, boy.
Oh, even you found
So
that
much.
cringy?
Dude, I'm currently taking pain meds. That was terrible.
Oh yeah, Chris, when are you coming back to your show?
I'm actually thinking of coming back next week. I can't do it this week because I'm going to be out in Lansing.
Are you going to be cross-dressing when you go out to Lansing?
Quite possibly.
Okay, forget I asked. Okay, continuing. Okay. Dang, Michigan boy. All right.
Is this Marshall Mathers person a regular? I get deja vu looking at the name. I feel like I've seen this person before.
He's come on here before, and I've debated him before on Is Jesus God? But he's come on occasionally to, or at least in the live chat, to talk a bunch of, just spamming with a bunch of nonsense. Before I respond to his Trinity stuff.
I think I was there at one point. I just remember this name. Yeah, and I remember him being not very good with words.
Yeah, he's not. So before I respond to his thing, he left a quick response for you, Chris. He said, I can explain why better as to why this is unjust compared to what happened according to the story of Noah. Let's set this up for tomorrow early, and we can't do it? Or we can?
I think I think he means we can do it early in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean by early for you.
Yeah,
is he an American?
He's in Morocco.
Oh, what times? How far ahead or behind?
Let me just look up Morocco time zone. Okay. Western European Standard Time. So let's see. Western European Standard Time is 10:38 p.m. Central Standard Time where I'm at. What time is it over there for you?
11:38.
Okay, so you're at that time. It is
They're 4 hours ahead of us.
It is 5:39 in the morning right now. So it's 5:39 right now, where it's 11:39 for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
So he's saying 4 p.m. his time would be better.
So it'd be 12 my time.
12 p.m. or
yeah, it'd be 12 p.m. my time because it's 4-hour difference.
All right, and he only does it on Hangouts, so that's you managed to still somehow.
Yeah, I'm not sure I will be able to do it tomorrow because that's when I'm heading out.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
So I'd probably have to actually set this up for a future debate. To be honest, though, I'm not sure I'd really care to do it though because A, not a Christian. B, I don't think that the God of the Bible is moral. I don't have an opinion on it because I'm a moral nihilist.
There you go.
So I'm not even sure I'm the person to do the debate.
Wait. If you're a moral nihilist, then how can you say God is immoral?
Because I don't think there is morality. I'm not saying he's immoral. I said I don't think he is moral. Because I don't think there's morality.
Same difference.
But
no, not the same difference.
But keep in mind though that because Marshall, what are you talking about? I told you he wasn't a Christian. I told you. We even said this earlier.
Yeah.
Also, I got a question for you.
Because this is hold up a second, because I just want to keep in mind that what you of what you would have been dealing with. One time Marshall had told me, like, because he would cite Bart Ehrman all the time, and I say I disagree with Bart Ehrman, and I didn't even say anything about it until later on. He would say, dude, why you stop dissing and disrespecting and just avoiding him? Who are you, RC, to question Bart Ehrman's Christianity?
What?
Like, he legit thought Bart Ehrman was an evangelical Christian.
How?
I have no idea.
Where did you get that?
Good question. I guess when he hears Bible scholar, it means in order to be a Bible scholar, you must automatically be a Christian to be one.
I think Hitchens thought Bart Ehrman was a Christian also.
Really? Yeah, but Hitchens had an excuse. He was drunk 24/7.
True.
He didn't walk anywhere without a scotch, so...
And people revere that guy.
I mean, I revere him. If anyone who can walk around 24/7 with a scotch and make snide comments and then be applauded deserves the praise he gets.
Right. Oh wait, we got. Okay. Oh, it's your name's in Greek, but I know who you are.
Hey, how's it going?
Going pretty good.
Hunter?
No, it's my good old Catholic friend, the Catholic Fusionist, or whatever nickname you go by.
Well, right now you could just call me MK. How about that?
MK.
Oh boy, this goes back to the old days. MK, could you shoot lasers out your eyes?
Okay.
Not unless I'm high. So I think.
That's
I guess I could say
for some of y'all.
Okay.
I guess maybe more appropriate.
You're a liar. You're a liar, RC.
Wait, what?
You just lied, RC.
Yeah, Marshall's complaining. No, Marshall, you don't. I have your chat records on Google Hangouts, and I remember our conversation. So don't lie. This is why I now try to record our conversations, because you'll say one thing and you will immediately say something contradicting it and lie. Which doesn't surprise me. This is
You're
where
a
now
liar,
I'm going to go off the rails here.
Liar.
which is lying is a concept not too foreign to your religion. Hence, taqiyya and the other 3 permissions of lying in Islam. So, anyways, carry on, word.
Lying.
Actually, maybe so as I was gonna say another response, maybe more appropriate to this, is I can shoot lasers out of my eyes because through God all things are possible.
And that was his legit thing too. By the way, for those who aren't familiar, because I don't think Chris is, but wait, Luna, do you remember? Because I remember that he was around when we were on the Google Plus days. Do you remember MK?
MK?
Luna.
Okay.
Do you remember MK?
I think so.
He had the afro, and he went full Psi 10 for quite some time.
Yes,
And
I remember him.
Yeah.
And he was an atheist at one point, and not even a very good one, and then he converted over. And I'm like, okay, at least this is an improvement, but you still need to work up your apologetics game, buddy. And yeah, he went full Psi 10.
Yeah, he even reported. it was Skylar, I think. He reported Skylar Fiction for impersonating somebody. He reported his YouTube account for impersonating somebody, and it was Skylar Fiction is impersonating Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior.
What the heck? How do you do that?
Yeah.
I mean,
To be-
understand.
You know, I've
was-
seen some of those Jesus posters. I mean, he doesn't look that different. Sometimes, if you catch him in the right light, Skylar might look a little bit like one of those white Jesus paintings.
There you go.
I'll say this much: I think we should all be trying to impersonate Jesus Christ in all our lives as Christians.
I will.
I
agree
would,
with
but
you
I'm
there.
not as dark as I should be.
And in fact, I think my problem with Skylar is he's not impersonating Jesus enough.
By the way,
okay.
I just want to say this.
I would be, but I'm not as dark as I should be.
By the way, I just want to say this now that I think about it. Where Max well, in this reference I'm talking about Max as in Max Colby, quote unquote, of Red Pill Religion.
Oh, Red Pill Religion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
claiming that I'm a Catholic hater and that I just hate Catholics with a burning passion. This is like who I consider my best Catholic friend. I enjoy this guy's company, and we can agree on a lot of stuff. And this guy's just like, look at that. That's just, well, y'all can't look at it because y'all are looking at a picture of this thing as we're streaming.
Or as he called you one time, an agent of Satan.
Yeah, I wouldn't exactly call you. Look, I wouldn't call you a Catholic hater because at the end of the day, I don't think you actively hate Catholics. I just think you're wrong, and it's okay to be mistakenly wrong. It doesn't make you a bigot. It just means about a certain issue I think you're wrong about. I don't think you're malicious in your intent. I honestly think that you're just reading the sources in front of you, and you're just coming to a conclusion I disagree with. And it's one I think we can debate about constantly, but I don't need to impute any ill will on your behalf to think that you're just mistaken here.
Yep.
Like, you think I'm mistaken, and you don't assume I hate Protestants just because I have my issues with a couple of the solas, or that I think that Protestantism is deficient in a few areas, such as missing the sacraments of the Eucharist, or the sacrament of what was another, or the sacrament of having a valid confession. Like, that doesn't mean I hate Protestants. It just means that I think that the doctrine is wrong, and I'm trying to correct it because I don't like people being wrong, just like I don't think you like me being wrong.
Right.
You know what? Those are the words of a bigot. How dare you?
Oh man, I'm actually pretty sad to see what's the name of this Rationality Rules, and right now he's being called a bigot because
that's hilarious.
he's being called a bigot because not because he even doesn't recognize the transgendered as being something. Like, just because he thinks maybe someone who was born a man and then transitioned into a woman still has, like the bone structure of a man, the bone density of a man, the testosterone, various things like that. And it's maybe a teensy bit unfair in competition, and suddenly he's a bigot because he didn't research the right way.
He didn't.
The ACA might as well call themselves the trans community of Austin.
He made a lot of errors in that video and a lot of mistakes. Don't get me wrong. Like, apparently, okay, so I'm gender fluid, and I didn't find out until like a week ago that apparently that's under the umbrella of trans. So technically, I'm trans. Okay. Don't know where that is, how that happened, but anyways, my whole take on it was this: our rationality rules basically went into he did a JonTron. Went in, decided to talk about something without actually knowing really what he was talking about, and then ACA decided that they were going to protect their image, which everyone has their right to do. If they don't like what someone says, they have every right to not host them or anything like that. Whatever, I don't care. And then everything that followed was nothing but overreaction bull. And I have no interest in getting any of it since then.
Well, I actually don't. Well, here's the thing, though. I don't think it's kind of a JonTron situation. I think it's even less malicious than that. I mean,
I don't think it was. I don't think it was malicious at all. That's
a fair point.
Yeah,
sorry.
I don't think he was malicious in his intent at all. I think he just came off poorly because he didn't know what he was talking about.
It's atheism plus 2.0.
Right. Actually, I was going to say it's more along the lines of he only really had access to one set of sources, and it was sources that even the atheist community themselves kind of entrenched themselves in from the beginning. Like, it starts off with someone like Sam Harris, who is still pretty popular with the atheist community, but he kind of went along with the whole intellectual dark web thing. And of course, when you bounce off of Sam, you kind of bounce off to the rest of the intellectual dark web types, and you bounce off to Joe Rogan. And basically every talking point I heard him say came from the same people. And of course, there's a bit of a pipeline there.
It always comes from them.
Yeah, and it's understandable how you can unwittingly go through a pipeline and not be aware of it, because you are always trusting these sources from the beginning, sources that your general community around you trusted. Like, the only people who didn't go down this route were the people who were already pretty much to the left of Sam from the starting point, well to the left. These would be the same people who criticized him when he was making his criticisms of Islam, and he was injecting his very staunchy pro-military intervention ideas early on, like how far, like 2015. So I think it is understandable. I don't think it's just somebody who surrounds himself with one side of it's not somebody who purposely only looks for one side of the information, surrounds themselves with that, and then is just ignorant. It's somebody who trusted a source that everyone else trusted when that source touched upon something that was inaccurate. He didn't think twice about it.
Rationality TM trademark rules is going to do a follow-up video where he corrects his mistakes, but he'll do that for the trans community, but he won't do that when he gets religious arguments wrong.
That is true.
Yeah. My whole thing, and it's one reason I have been exceedingly reluctant now to even be branded as a member of the atheist community at all, is because I am so tired of just how bloody hypocritical the atheist community is. for a group of people that profess to be trying to educate the public, they sure like to sit around using some of the crappiest sources and of information around and purport some of the absolute biggest trash I've ever seen. And it's really frustrating me to a great extent. It's why I'm actually so vocally critical, especially of people in the atheist community, on biblical issues now. Because
but you're agnostic, so you're not really a member of the atheist community.
Yeah, they keep trying to lump me in though, because there's the whole stupid like atheist Republican.
They are vile.
Atheist Alliance of America, atheist and AA and everything, and all of them that try and define it so that agnostics and atheists are the same thing.
Right. The idea that they're trying to turn atheism into non-theism. Like the idea that if you're not a theist, that's sufficient enough to be an atheist, despite the fact that, by definition, rocks are not theists.
I love this one.
Let's just focus on this though. We can at least agree on this, that the way it's looking right now after all this, it's starting to look like we might have another blockbuster that could beat Endgame. We just have an atheist version of Civil War at this point.
I don't know what that is.
Huh?
Civil War. You haven't seen Captain America: Civil War?
I mean, I have. Yeah. Unfortunately, I wasted my life watching it.
That was a pretty terrible movie. I agree.
I'm gonna kill you too. This is the one time I'll kill a Catholic.
We're in the Endgame now.
I'm more of an X-Men fan myself.
In all honesty, like Captain America's side tried to come off as being better, but at the end of the day, I think Iron Man had the right idea to begin with. And secondly,
I disagree. I would agree there. Yeah, Iron Man probably had the right idea.
But secondly, I think a huge problem with that movie was they just really tried to lump in too many superhero cameos all at the same time. Just it kind of interrupted the plot. And on top of that, even like it doesn't have something like the Avengers, Infinity Wars, or Endgame. Like really extended viewing time. Like they really had to just cram it in there, and it does not reflect the plot at all.
Okay, but the only one that had the extended viewing time, the only one that had the extended viewing time was Endgame, and Infinity War met the same criticism.
Infinity War was like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and
Infinity War was like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but Infinity War was met with the same criticism. They kept claiming that there's too many people that are trying to cram into it. It's just like Civil War, that they're just trying to show off too many people, and that's what the one criticism there is.
Well, here's the thing. Avengers is about the Avengers, like the whole of the group.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily center around one character and keep going back and forth and have a coherent plot. And it does have a longer runtime than Avengers did.
Originally, there were only 4 Avengers. It was Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, and Thor.
Well, yeah, but
for a movie called Captain America, there was sure very little Captain America in it.
Exactly.
My point.
Okay, I'll grant that. But at least we could say this.
Iron Man.
Reason that Endgame was better.
Iron Man.
No, because of Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel is a really underrated superhero. I will say that much.
Either Captain Marvel or Captain Marvel's butt double. I can't believe that was legit a job position that was offered.
Okay. I just gotta say that this, and y'all are gonna hate me.
What?
I haven't bothered to actually watch Endgame. I just read the Wikipedia article.
How dare you? Actually, no. I never watched Endgame either. I'm still waiting.
I'm only continuing
to Infinity Wars.
I haven't seen it either. I'm going to see the next X-Men.
I haven't seen the last 5. The last Marvel movie I watched voluntarily was Deadpool 2, and before that I hadn't watched any of them since the second Avengers movie.
Same here.
All right, let's get It's so hard trying to call you. I normally am used to calling you Max.
Max. Just say Max. Just say Max. Honestly, that's been my most consistent name. Don't let it change. Don't let my Twitter handle change it. Max has been the one I've most steadily gone by. Max is fine.
All right. Because it's usually that, or I think of other Max whenever I say Max, and that's a disturbing thought. Because I picture in like his head, but your voice coming out, and that's even more creepy, but yet satisfying at the same time. Anyways, so
my phone's dying. I'm out of here.
At some
Bye.
point, peace
Bye.
out. So at some point,
See you later, White Engine.
I'm
Adios.
going to be having a podcast episode involving getting so far 5 furries on the podcast discussing that was an interesting slip of the word.
Mental slip right there.
Yeah, discussing Christian furries, because that's what these people are. These are all Christian furs. 2 that are in a Reformed Southern Baptist church that are a married couple and engage and help out in their church, as well as go fursuiting and having fun at conventions.
That sounds so sweet.
I know, right? And let me see. I'm actually going to post it in the Discord, the picture.
Honestly, I find it really weird that I don't like the concept of furries, but as people, I've only found one I really didn't like. The rest of them all seem pretty cool.
Well, who's the one you didn't like?
You know that he's not a furry, he's more of a scaly, and he's one of the guys you did that video response to.
Oh, Cothrix?
He also made a video defending people who are minor attracted people, i.e. pedophiles who just don't have sex with the underaged, and he also made a video defending child labor.
Yeah, that's this recent one. But the funny
that
thing
person
is
should not have kids.
There was not really much people that were criticizing him when he made the pedophile one back then. It's only now that it's become a thing where people are making memes and criticizing him about it, which is interesting.
Yeah.
It's kind of that makes me wonder why the wait. Like, it took a year before people started criticizing James White for the Yasser Qadi dialogue. It took several months for a controversy apparently with me or something like that. I don't know. So
what?
I don't know. Like, just people bringing up all kinds of things. Like, recently some guy tried to pull up a video of the first time I went on the non sequitur, and I said some comment to Kyle of the show saying, well, don't worry, I can think of more ways to sweep you off your feet and leave you breathless. And someone just put a video like months after that saying, RC Apologist exposed, as like, behold, anti-gay bigot exposed as a secret homosexual.
What the heck? That is so stupid.
Sounds accurate.
Boy, shut up.
Like, it's kind of like you need to know when people are kidding and when people aren't kidding.
No, this guy was like being legit. Like, he like thought he was trying to do something.
I've seen how you dress. You are no gay man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's stereotyping.
Oh, Snow Princess.
To be fair, stereotypes are funny for a reason.
That is true. That is very true. And if you look at my Twitter, they are true.
Oh, by the way, you said you were gender fluid.
Yeah.
How are you how are you going by today?
As like, okay, like I like how, like what I identify as a gender.
Yeah, I thought the whole thing with you guys is that some days you feel like chicks, and some days you feel like dudes, and some days you feel like nothing at all.
It can be like that. I go through quite a few phases where I feel like I'll be like feeling really feminine. Hence, some images on Twitter that have now been sent to Ken Ham. But other times, I'll feel a little bit more masculine, but like most of the time, it's really just whatever I decide that I'm going to put on and how I act. It generally just comes naturally in the day for me.
I see. Look, I'm asking because I don't want to offend you in this dialogue.
Trust me, you're not going to.
So I'm just going to go with the male pronoun for now because
to offend you.
I see. Well, do you mind if I just go by the male pronouns now because you seem to be presenting as a dude? Okay, cool.
If you ever come across my Twitter, one of the first things you'll notice, like on my short little bio thing, is I say I don't care what pronoun you use.
Oh, sweet, awesome.
So, did you see the picture?
No, I can't see it. I'm on my phone.
Well, can't you check a look on there like I normally do, right? Okay, never mind. You know what? I can't say nothing. I don't know your situation.
Here, I'll describe it to you.
Oh, don't. Now I'm worried about how this is going to turn out.
Two furries. One of them has green emo hair. And it's like a gray wolf with a blue shirt with a red star on it. I think they're commies.
Oh boy. Nah, they far from commies.
I see.
Gonna be one of the next videos that RC has to respond to. RC exposed as a commie.
The more I hear the word commie in this conversation, I don't think of communism, but I think of the character from Dragon Ball Z. I hear gummy. So I think gummy bears.
I just now thought about that. Yeah, that could have been mistaken for commie, as in like Kamehameha, or the commie, the person. That reminds me from that Team 4-star things like, well, we just call him commie. Oh, so he calls himself God now.
well, kami is actually the Japanese word for God. So
I know that was
technically he does call himself God now.
Right, exactly.
What's a kami? It means God. Now bow. That's the best.
As much as I thought,
line.
As much as I thought that was like a little offensive in my direction on what my beliefs are and everything, that I have to admit that was a hardcore line.
That is a hardcore line.
No. I want to be called Kami. No, wait. Kami Super Guru.
Super Kami Guru.
Kami Super Guru Kami is an awesome name. I will admit that.
Super Kami Guru will allow this.
Just don't call him Little Green and we're fine.
Only I can call him Little Green. You will call me Dende! Dende! Say it.
No, Dende.
I cannot wait.
What
there are
fourth season?
There are several high power levels approaching the planet, and they're extremely flamboyant.
Oh, guys, season 4 this year.
Wait, what? What'd you say, Max?
Yeah?
You said season 4?
Yep, this year, 2009. Yeah, I think the first few episodes are coming out in November of 2019.
Interesting.
What they're doing is this. They're going to, rather than, write, produce, and edit and release episode by episode, what they're doing now is they're writing it like a show. They're going to spend the first 6 months writing scripts, and then they're going to spend the summer producing, and then they're going to release.
What show?
Team 4-star.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, boy.
I heard Oh no. Okay. Yeah. The only anime that I'm currently looking forward to with a new release is actually the next season of Code Geass.
Wait, hold the phone. What?
Yeah, there's a season 3 coming out.
Oh my god.
Has One Punch Man season 2 started yet?
I think so.
Is it on Crunchyroll yet, or?
I don't know, actually. I haven't checked.
Which one?
I was busy watching The Promised Neverland.
What are you talking? What are you trying to look for? Religious?
One Punch Man season 2.
I don't think they have it up yet.
Okay,
it's never happening. I gave up hope on One Punch Man season 2 a long time ago.
Boy.
Because it's never happening. They're never releasing it. You know what needs to be another thing? They need more episodes of Space Dandy. That's what they need more of.
Oh. You know what we do need? We need to stop this bull crap about the Vic Mignogna controversy already, because it's become nothing but nonsense.
I don't even know what that is.
Alright, so let me ask you this. Do you know who... Have you seen Full Metal Alchemist, essentially?
Nope.
I am going to stab you.
Have you seen Ouran High School Host Club?
Nope.
Let me just ask this. Have you seen anime, period?
A couple.
Okay. Let me just get the roster down, because this guy's been way too many for me to count. Okay. Where is your little videography? Okay, help me. Okay.
Okay, wait. The only controversy I know was like a anime. Is this an anime voice actor?
Yes.
Yep.
Was this the one that was like accused of being a predator?
Yes.
Okay, I know who this one is because he was a voice on Full Metal Jacket. Crap.
Alchemist?
It's this one about this one about this guy who is he's supposed to be defending his high school teenager. Oh, what's the name of it?
Wait,
I just watched.
Are you talking about Full Metal Panic?
Panic. There we go.
Yeah, Kerr's.
He was a voice actor on one of those episodes.
For he was 3 characters.
Okay.
Yeah. But
okay, so I know who he is.
He's been doing voice acting since 1999, where he was in Street Fighter 2, 5, I guess, where he did the voice of Vega.
I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of. In fact, there was an anime that was about to be released, and they were about to literally just cut his voice and re-record the lines with somebody else as a result.
Really?
Yeah. I forget what the anime was. Let me see, actually.
Yeah, I'm not familiar enough with what's been going down to really have much of an opinion. My position is really until I'm just gonna let the courts figure it out.
That's what I'm
basically
saying.
My position.
All I do know is that there was a lot of shadiness behind the whole thing. From the stuff I have seen that's been put, and it seems that what they had discovered, one of the cases that caused the whole thing, was because of a jelly bean. Because
I did hear that story.
Like, apparently, what was it? Monica Rial, who does the voice of Bulma in Dragon Ball Z, wrote down on a jelly bean, because they had some jelly beans with them, wrote down her name. She offered it to Vic, I guess, and Vic did something where I guess he ate it, and he said, I guess I could say I ate Monica now. And apparently
Really?
that was put in some...
They got offended over that.
Yeah, apparently Monica had got offended over that. And no, that was several years ago.
I mean, okay, that's inappropriate workplace behavior, but
this
that's
wasn't
about
at work.
it.
This wasn't at work. This was at a con. That stuff is said all the time.
As a professional public figure, it is unprofessional. But that really, what that comes down to is, that's like so pathetic, like, to try and build a case on at all.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Well, there's more things that are claimed about it, but they haven't released the whole thing. What's said, they figure out who's guilty or who's not guilty. But yeah, there's an anime coming out called The Morose Mononokean. They haven't put a English translation name of what this would mean in English. But yeah, Vic Mignogna was going to be in this, and he is. They were originally going to say no, but eventually a petition went out, got some people, and they said, okay, you know what? Yeah, it's too much work, so we're just going to go with this. But even then, like Ruby, RWBY, he's the voice of Uncle Crow on the show. Used to. They're now having to change the voice actor for the next season because they don't want to deal with him. So, yeah, he's losing a lot of big gigs on things that he done big voices for.
Well.
And why is my laptop keep dying on me? Yo, charge. Bad boy.
As long as he's not involved in the next season of Code Geass, and that's not a problem, I don't care.
I'm still kind of... Okay, what in the... Okay, I see... All right, now on my Twitter, a ferret Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. I don't know if I should be freaked out a bit by that or laugh. Because
both.
Both?
Both.
That's how that would sound like.
That is officially now recorded for everyone to hear. You're welcome.
Oh boy.
Have you guys seen Megalobox yet?
Nope. Don't even know what that is.
It's pretty good. There are some things I don't recommend about it, but overall it's good. Like, a lot of the character development's really good.
I'm not gonna lie, I legit thought I heard you say Michelob Ultra. Thought you were talking about beer for a second.
That's I think I've come across that, but not on any teen appropriate shows. So
I'll tell you.
Anyways, honestly, the last thing that I actually went to see, and I actually looked forward to it, was the second Blade Runner movie. And basically, I'm probably not going to care about another film until Villeneuve finishes his work on the new Dune movie.
Oh, yeah.
Are you saying Doom or Dune?
Dune.
Dune. Dune.
Yep. Because that was...
Okay, so Dune.
Yeah, it was a novel and a 1984 movie.
And also a early 2000s sci-fi miniseries.
Ooh. I'm going to check that out.
The miniseries is actually really good. And it's actually pretty faithful to the book. At least as faithful as you can be to what amounts to Lord of the Rings in space.
So that's what that's about.
Dune is awesome.
Like, I looked at the trailer for the... Oh, okay, thank you. I looked at the trailer for the 1984 movie, and I couldn't figure out what was happening.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Never, ever go into Dune with the 1984 movie unless you like being confused. Because that is... It expects you to have done all of your homework going in.
Okay, well that explains a lot.
Do that.
But it's a masterpiece in its own right on how not to make a film. But I highly recommend reading the book sometime. It is a fabulous series.
So it's like sci-fi version of The Room.
No, it's not even close to that bad. Not even close.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the only books I enjoy reading are like the nonfiction or reference books that I have on the Bible.
That's sad.
And you're lucky you escaped that one book about a dude turning into a bug. And I can't even tell you how weird this book was. And it was supposed to be a masterpiece, so meaningful, so beyond its time. And I couldn't figure out what the hell was happening.
Kafka's Metamorphosis.
Yes, I don't understand
anything
about that book.
It was like a short story, quote unquote.
Kafka's Metamorphosis?
It was like
don't read it. Don't read it.
It is confusing. It is boring. Nothing happens. Not worth your time.
To me,
no.
To me,
I hate Kafka.
To me, the most, even though it was slightly making sense but yet confusing, was Cell.
I don't talk about Cell.
What, you know about Cell?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, me too.
Just to make sure, we are talking about what we're talking about, right? The Stephen King.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I don't like King.
Oh, was this?
Is it bad that whenever you say Cell, all I can think of is the Dragon Ball Z villain?
Wouldn't blame you.
I'm trying my best.
Snow Princess says in the live chat, Snow Princess says Dune is a good book, but the movie was just confusing. Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So what was wrong with Cell, or just Stephen King in general? Like, to me, the one thing I like about King is that the horror is not necessarily about the supernatural stuff or anything like that. To me, it's about how messed up people could be mentally and how crazy they can be.
So, okay. My problem with Stephen King is, I find most of his stuff to be exceedingly repetitive. I've worked my way through a bit of his work, and I've done Misery, It, The Shining, Finders Keepers, The Dark Half, and I've done 2 of the Dark Tower books. The Dark Tower books are the only ones I've actually liked. All the rest of it I have found to be exceedingly derivative.
So, what do you mean?
Okay. The plots are all exceedingly predictable. You can see them coming a mile away on almost all of it.
Yep.
The plots really are disjointed at a lot of times as well. Partially because of his writing style, i.e., he just ends things when he wants to end them, or he will just jump scenes randomly. There is a lot of problems I have textually with his writing. It very much is writing that tells you that he definitely does not out. And then also the problem is that every single time he has anything approximating like a villain, they are stereotypical to the utmost degree.
Mm-hmm.
They're just there.
I will agree that's also, actually how you don't make a villain.
Yeah. I haven't found a single villain in any of his work that I've thought was even marginally good. Ever. And actually that's the same problem I have with most of his characters. Most of his characters are flat and lifeless to me. So,
from what I read, finally, there's at least one thing I can agree with, or that at least someone agrees with me. Snow Princess said that Cell is one of her favorites by Stephen King. So, at least there's still saving grace for me there.
Gotta get that vindication, right?
Well, I mean, it's good. But anyways, the one thing I've noticed is that there's, if you like, compared to all the movies that come out and the book are way too graphic. Like, the book is just more messed up than you will ever find on the movies.
Trust me, I've seen the Cannibal Holocaust. There's nothing more messed up than that.
True, that's one thing. Actually, no, I take that back. No, there's stuff that is much worse. Have you ever heard of this thing called a Serbian film?
Yes, I've seen that too.
How the heck then can you say that the Cannibal Holocaust is much worse?
Well, I felt differently when I watched both. The Serbian blah 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 film, that was bad, but there was something about the other movie that just made me feel sadder than the other one.
Well, you do know the history about
the
that
way
one, right?
those innocent people were terrorized.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should be happy to say that I have almost no idea what these things are that you guys are talking
Please
about.
do.
Stay innocent, religious fanboy.
Stay innocent. You don't want to be exposed to these nightmares. Because here's the thing. Did you do know the history, the story that happened after they finished shooting Cannibal Holocaust, right?
Yeah, I know about that.
Yeah, and I think that was actually a genius idea compared to, like, especially with, like, what you find in the Blair Witch Project once they tried that whole marketing thing. I think this was an even crazier plot strategy that they had in mind. But yeah, like, I don't know, to me, Serbian film, when you have, to quote the guy in the movie, newborn porn, I'm sorry, that is the most disgusting and disturbing thing I can ever think about. Is someone doing that.
I almost threw up in my mouth.
It's just, my main question is, why make a movie where that gets, why put that in a movie, period?
That's a cry for attention, dude. That's an absolute cry for attention. Yeah. Look, I'm so itchy. I make the most horrific movie. Give me money.
Apparently,
that's what I was thinking.
I don't know if there was this or another movie, but from what I heard, it was supposed to be some sort of commentary on the government and where this movie was made. At least that's what I can recall was, like, the reason why it was so graphic and so crazy. But yeah, either way, it's very crazy. Yeah, because, like, there was a set of movies that were out there that I found that were, like, just crazy and almost on Stephen King level, because, like, I remember there was a Stephen King book that literally details a rape of a child, and I'm not talking about it, and I'm not talking about that because everyone keeps talking about that since the new one had come out, from what we found in the book. But anyways, there's one thing though I found of a movie. I think it's Italian. It was made in Italy, and it was the 72 or something Days of Sodom.
I think I heard of that one.
Yeah, it's these, and it was originally a novel, which the novel's even more disturbing, where there was 3 rich guys locked themselves in a mansion with a bunch of boys and girls, and just, it's nothing but torture and lustful desires. It's pretty much bizarre, and that was definitely supposed to be a statement on the politics there. And the guy that made the movie didn't even get to see the premiere because he was already a controversial film director, and he got assassinated or shot before he could even see it. And the movie got banned in several countries as a result.
Well, duh.
Yeah, when you make something like that, I mean, there's so many honestly, as much as it's shocking, but stupid things that are out today.
Like, if you make stuff like that, you can't really be surprised when people are mad at you for it.
Exactly.
Yep. Man.
I'm going to be completely honest. I'd rather watch the Emoji Movie and the Sonic the Hedgehog movie 100 times in a row. I'd rather do that than watch those movies again. The Cannibal Holocaust, Siberian film, I'd rather forget those.
There you go. And speaking of which, I hope that they actually do justice with the Sonic one now that they actually are now late at the party, saying they're gonna redraw and redo Sonic's appearance in the movie.
Oh yeah.
You know, you could have avoided.
I'm gonna be honest. I really hope it gets worse.
You could have.
Is it mainly?
I'm just gonna say outright that there's
the eyes.
Wait, hold up, Chris. What's up?
I'm just gonna say that we've never had a good video game movie before, and we're not gonna get one now. Hate to break it to everybody, but the Sonic the Hedgehog movie is gonna suck.
The only thing I can say that will be good is just Jim Carrey as Eggman. Either way,
that will be awesome.
Not just necessarily because we don't know. Maybe the look won't exactly fit well with, because we do know he does end up looking like him exactly at one point. We don't know if that look will stay permanent, but we can at least say one thing: he can be hilarious Jim Carrey again instead of the super drama one that he's been in some of the more recent movies he's been in. And I would love to see silly Jim Carrey again.
Me too. I feel ya.
Yeah, that guy was an inspiration for like the comedy that I decided to try to implement when I go to cons and when I just talk to people in general. So let's see. I'm looking right now at some Stephen King, 8 disturbing Stephen King moments that were cut from films.
I thought Stand By Me was good.
Yeah, apparently in the book there was a zombie nightmare. Let me see.
In Stand By Me, or?
Yeah, in the book, in Stand By Me, it said the author included a nightmare sequence where Gordy dreams that both Teddy and Vern are dead. So far, so depressing. But what happens next is truly disturbing. Their corpses become animated in an attempt to drown Gordy. So, that's something.
That's really depressing.
I don't know if anyone's seen The Dark Tower. Personally, I'm not going to try to watch it because I've already heard that.
I heard it was trash.
Yeah, and I heard that because of that, they aren't going to plan on making the second one. But in the book, in comparison, Roland is his name. I'm asking you, Chris, since apparently that's you read The Dark Tower.
Yeah.
Character named Roland. Says drops.
Yes.
And is Jake the kid?
Yeah. The 11-year-old.
Yeah. Roland drops Jake to his death.
Cool.
Yeah. Let's see.
I never finished the series, so.
Says, granted the film was a half-baked sequel rather than an adaptation of the novels, but the story is cyclical in nature. It says the gunslinger in the novels is a flawed hero to a greater extent than Idris Elba's cowboy knight. This is best illustrated when he drops Jake into an abyss, sacrificing the child so he can continue on his quest toward the Dark Tower. It says learns he must fly solo to the mystical structure, and his sheer obsession with doing so forces him to make a painful, tragic decision. Yikes. That sounds depressing. It's become Stephen King fan club night, at least on my end here at this point. So let's talk about something else. So before we shut off the stream for the night, because we've been going for, let me see, 2 hours and 36 minutes since, well, I'll be.
It's turning into one of my shows.
Oh yeah? How so?
My channel regularly used, at least when I was still running it, we go like 4 hours plus regularly.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I'll do go quite a long time.
That I thought I did my first Summer of Genesis video this week. I thought that was going to be over 3 hours long. But I think I managed to do it under 45 minutes.
Alright, I want to get this off the table. Luna. So, I've seen on Twitter your fursuit and your icon. And I gotta say, that is the most adorable thing I've ever seen. The design of it, too, is like, wow.
Thank you.
Did you make this one, or did you get this from somebody? Because I remember the first one, the purple cat, you ordered from somebody.
What was their name? B3 Mascot? Yes, I think that was their name.
Alright. So, these people are definitely talented. And whoever...
Definitely.
And who drew the picture for the profile?
My profile picture on here or the YouTube?
The Twitter.
Oh, I think they changed their name, but Woofy or something. I don't know if that's still their name, but Woof Suits or something. That's who drew my picture.
Interesting.
I'll look them up. I don't know if they still have that name because it was on Amino.
Oh yeah.
Hey guys, I'm gonna head out here.
Alright, Chris Handsome.
See you later.
It was nice to meet you, Chris.
Nice meeting you.
Oh boy. Good old Chris. Yeah. Can't wait for the debate.
Seems very lovely.
Huh?
He seems lovely.
Oh yeah, you should have he at one point, I forget what day it was, he dressed up in drag at one point, and then another point because apparently he was actually the drag was because he was being a different version of a Frankenfurter from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and so we just jested about that, and then he said something about he made the comments like, "Could you never know, RC? You could be dealing with a sweet transvestite." And I'm like, I'm gonna kill you. Oh boy, he's definitely a interesting fella. He's also smart. I'll give him that, and that's why we're gonna be debating at some point about is the Old Testament the Old Testament, is it historically reliable? So we're going to be discussing, things about Moses, the Exodus, basically all the events that happen in the Old Testament, and is there any historical reliability for what we read in the Old Testament about these events?
Sweet.
Yeah. And I have to up my game because this guy has like 100 books and articles, and most of them are up to date. So I gotta get my A game if I ever plan to.
Something that I recommend, like if you guys are interested in and other material and sources of finding like impacts of the church during the time of the Holy Roman Empire.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of sources that like a lot of secondary sources I'd look for would be art history sources from the Renaissance period, because a lot of those have background information, and a lot of the Christian artwork made around that time was heavily impacted by the Counter-Reformation and the Catholic artwork as part of the Counter-Reformation and the type of Christian artwork that was made by the Protestants during that time. There's a lot of interesting stuff. If you guys are interested, I can try to send you links to stuff.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Oh, so, I gotta head out now.
Oh, you gotta head out?
Yep, sorry.
Hey, no problem.
Okay.
Oh,
see you later, Luna.
Later.
He clocks in as soon as I'm about to shut down the stream.
Oh, came back too late then. My bad.
What happened?
Oh, well, let's just say, I'll say it off air.
Alright, we'll say it off air then. Alright, well, folks, this has been RC Apologist. I'm not going to make this too fancy, just going to say it as it is. So, take care.